Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for the last time, sadly, the Andor review. I am the door closer, Tress Snell, and I'm joined by.
I'm the one who lived, Kirkland Patzer.
The 5-5 Taylor Field.
Yeah, whatever the fuck that means. But we are here to talk about Andor, episode 10 to 12, season 2, aka the series finale. Man, it sucks. We knew it was coming. Obviously, it's been kind of moved to a flash type of space because they multiple weeks as far as 3 episodes, which I hope that doesn't happen because I know they're doing that at Ironheart. And there's some scoop that says like, "Oh, Disney really likes this."
Those are like
this
20-minute
format.
episodes, so that'll be
Yes,
easier.
but when the scooper's like, oh, they really like this 3 episode format. I don't want everything going forward to be this. It's just sometimes a strain on life. But we're here to talk about it. What a journey! A journey that started in 2015. No, I guess 2016 was seeing Andor and Rogue One. Obviously, check out our review there, our commentary track. Lots of good. Actually, did we ever do commentary track for Rogue One? Or did we just do the
I don't think
episodes?
so.
Just the episodes.
Just the episodes.
We might have to
should
do
do it.
that at some point. Yeah, we might. That's definitely something. We had like a rule after COVID, then it slipped away. We'll get more into in August. But as of editing stuff, like man, we got to get back to at least once a quarter doing an in-person cast because there's some good stuff there.
Do it
And
on the 24-hour stream. All right, Dylan, we're gonna watch
Dylan would fucking
Rogue
hate
One
us
for
to
a couple
watch
hours.
Rogue One. Oh, we haven't done Solo yet either. Just all of it, but yeah, maybe we're not completely done with Andor. But as far as new content, it seems like we are. So as usual, we're gonna give you our non-spoiler thoughts. We'll take an ad break and then we'll dive right into spoilers. And yeah, there's tons to talk about. Even though it's a show that has many avenues that we knew were like where they're going, how it was going to end. Still a few fun reveals, fun conclusions. I guess I can't say fun. This was definitely a dark 3 episodes.
dour,
Yeah, it was a pretty downer, and that was like last week was pretty downer too. So this fucking show. But yeah, Patzer, what did you think of this as an ending to Andor? Unfortunately, they said no more. This is the run. We'll see what we get after the fact from Star Wars. But what do you think? Did it close it out well? You felt a little lacking, just right? Where are you, Goldilocks?
Goldilocks.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, for this adventure for me through Andor being like every week pretty much a 10 out of 10, like a hard 10 out of 10. I was definitely mixed emotions going into this one because I'm just expecting great quality because that's been the bar. But knowing that it's at the end is just obviously upsetting. I think just because it's been so spectacular, and I think these episodes are really great, but throughout, I feel like this was the biggest hitter of, man, there's so much more meat on the bone here. Like we
1,000%.
yeah, I think that was a feeling too, where it's like I'm way more upset that there's more juice on that lemon as opposed to like it just ending here. Okay, I can accept this is a 2-season show, but knowing how much we could still get out just in these 3 episodes alone, let alone this whole season, and I feel like I've definitely felt that way through each 3-parter that we've been getting week to week, but. Yeah, because I think there is a lot of stories that just kind of abruptly end, and it just seems like, well, that's all the time we got here, folks. Like we're going to the main event,
Yeah.
which is leading into, well, I was gonna say episode 4.
Get
but I
ready
guess
for
Rogue One.
Mandalorian Grogu.
Yeah. But yeah, no, like just judging it as it is, I think these are just still really, really amazing episodes. Particularly like well, I guess they're not really parts. I was gonna say part 1 of this adventure, episode 9, 10. Is that what it was? We ended on 12,
tonight?
so yeah, 10.
Yeah, 10,
I think that one like had me just choking up at like multiple times. Like it was really heavy emotional episode, just really filling in a lot of I don't know, something about a certain character to not spoil anything. But yeah, no, I think throughout though there's a lot of just really funny, humorous spots. Minor spoilers around K2. I feel like all the stuff that we got with K2 is just working for me, like 100% the humor. And yeah, like a lot of just suspense. I mean, it's just everything that I've kind of been saying week to week. So yeah, this is just amazing. I'm so sad that this is over. But I don't know. I'm hopeful that lightning will strike twice, and we might not get continuation of Andor's story in the Star Wars universe, but I still think that we can get shows in the Star Wars universe to this quality and for this audience. Hopeful. Maybe I'm just a dumb optimist, but I don't know. The Kree came here hopeful, just like me, and hopefully I'm not just Emperor Drogue for the remainder of the Star Wars
Say,
lifetime.
where
But
the fuck is he? This is gonna be me next year, May, watching Mandalorian Grogu, thinking about Andor, Bix, Deidre, Serial, Luthen, just like,
100%.
oh my god, yeah.
I'm gonna be so worried if I'm in the theater and I just get that popped in my head, like, oh, I'm just Emperor Drogue right now. But,
yeah. Mr. Field.
Yeah, this arc, it caught me by surprise. I did not know how we were going to end, aside from the fact that obviously it was going to lead up to a specific Star Wars movie, without spoiling anything. But there's a lot that you gotta.
I don't think it's a spoiler to say this leads up to Rogue One. I think that's like the least spoilery thing you can say about this show. Like from episode 1, Andor, it's like, oh, it's probably gonna end where Rogue One ends.
Directly
right?
leads into Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. I survived, Pix.
I think, like you mentioned there, Kirk, like, it's just that first episode of this arc. It's super emotional, and it does not hold back, and it gets up, it ups and ups and ups. And when you get to, there's one scene in particular in the second episode, which I can't wait to just highlight it, because I thought, holy fuck, I can't believe I'm seeing this. Like, Star Wars has certain levels of violence, and it's, it has that level of Star Wars isms to it, but the way that they did this one scene, it just made me think, man, that like it fits because it's in the Star Wars universe, but at the same time, like, this is just, I don't know, like, it's just, it feels detached from Star Wars and what it is. It's just the way they filmed it. I was thinking, fuck, this is just terrifying and freaky. It makes what we saw in the stuff that happens in the Gorman arc, that's its own version of horrific, and this is just another iteration of just something that is horrifying and something I never thought I would see in Star Wars, because it's just, when you see these types of things in Star Wars, it's, you got prequel era conflict, you got sequel era conflict, original trilogy. They're all different types of like conflict, but this just scene is just, it's going to be seared in my mind for a long time, because visually it was just terrifying. But I digress. Everything with this and the way it concluded was really, really powerful, and I really love how it sets up everything with Rogue One. Now, Rogue One in retrospect is up there with Empire and Revenge of the Sith for me, being my favorite Star Wars movie. I just cycle between the three because they're all so fucking good, and I love that this has amped and amplified Rogue One's story and its characters tenfold. But it is a shame, I wish that Rogue One was, as much as I love Rogue One, it was able to establish itself with everything that they had established in the show. But I guess that's where, okay, well, a show can do so much more than a movie can. And I know that's something you've preached, Travis, before, because it's just, you get so much more time, you get a bigger sandbox to work with, and you don't have that sense of rushing a massive story within a 2-hour time frame. So I can understand that.
Even though they kind of did that in these episodes, I'd say that was there's definitely some Russian go. I agree, Dylan or Kirkland, not Dylan. He's not here. Sorry. I think there was a bit of a, oh, we gotta get moving along. Like, it did feel like, oh, we really gotta get to Rogue One. Like it yeah. I wish that's the only thing that certain elements of Lucasfilm have made this into a 5-season show to a 2-season show, which you can feel in the back half here.
So, I mean, let's just say, like, if they were doing 5 seasons, would that just be like each season is a year instead of 3 episodes is a year? I imagine that's what they'd be doing, because we just covered 4 years now, right?
Yeah, I think all these 3 blocks that we got would have been a season. So I think we would have gone in the same place, and I think all the events. So that's a big thing, at least. Like, I think all the big events, the revelations, everything. I don't think those would have been changed. So that's something where I don't feel they had to acquiesce to that, like, oh, you can't do that, didn't feel like that. Just felt like it was telling it in warp speed, or it feels like you're watching the long form version of like a catch up video, where you're watching, like, oh, let's say they did like almost like what me and Kirkland watched beforehand, but instead of it being like 10 minutes, oh, well, we've made an hour recap video. That's what, and that's underselling it, because I don't think these episodes are to that level. I just mean, if you were to say, okay, originally episodes 10 to 12, those 3 episodes used to be 10 episodes, that would be a lot to cover, right? In a like trying to recap all that. So yeah. Yeah, no, just fantastic. It delivers, like I said, my only con, it's not even enough to bring it down because of what the situation is. Yeah, it feels like we rushed through a few things, but man, this is just some great TV, and yeah, it's kind of like what I said last week, where I'm still reeling off of that, but it just continues. I think they delivered here. There's still some great moments here, some great character stuff. There's one revelation that we talked about last week that I was like, oh man, this would be fucking crazy if they did this, and they didn't. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah. And then they did it, and I was sitting there just starting to bawl. I was like, oh my god, this show. That's, I mean, somehow, I'll reiterate. Last week when the show started, we knew everything was going to happen. Everywhere was going, for the most part, right? There's certain characters that we newly met, but we've kind of figured like, they're probably going to meet a bad end, and you know, most of them do. You know, some justified, some not, but just this was the journey to get there, and yeah, it was fantastic. I think, yeah, they had some humor sprinkled throughout, which was good because, yeah, it was a very dour 3 episodes, and there's one where like episode um 10, there's stuff in there where that feels like if we got a 10-hour, you know, or 10-episode season, that would have been its whole own episode. Like, I don't care. I'll say there's like flashbacks in it. It's fleshing out characters' backstory, or I'll say 2 characters' backstory. That felt like, oh, this would have got its own full episode if we got a full season, which is like, man, I really wish that happened because it was spliced in, like, it's a flashback stuff, but then spliced in with all this other stuff. Kind of like what we talked about Last of Us this week, Kirkland, where next week it's like, okay, that's flashback episode, and that's nice because you can just dedicate a whole episode. Last of Us season 1 did that, right? Where this season they couldn't, so it's like, okay, that to me, what the current day events were and the flashbacks felt like those 2 episodes, and they put them together. So that's the only stuff. But no, great. You know, people are shouting out in the chat like there's some great quotable stuff here. Multiple characters. I'm excited. I don't know when we'll do it, but I know I'll have to look. Maybe it's time we do it, or maybe we'll time it for Mandalorian, Grogu. I don't know. But we did our stars ranking like of our projects and movies and characters. It's so tough because now I feel like after the show, my top 10, like, has at least 3 Andor characters, which is crazy because some of the characters in my top 10 are like legendary classic characters I've known for my whole life, but it's like I can't not put Mon Mothma in top 10 now, you know? Like, I would never thought, other than like I love Diego Luna, like Cassian Andor is like a top 10. It's
Yeah,
It's
totally.
crazy stuff what the show has done, and yeah, that's where I hope we get something. Obviously can't be about these characters again, but something in the same ilk. As I've said before, I hope Filoni does not get the job, and I hope whoever does decides, you know what, we're gonna give the Gilroys as much money as possible and get them back. We don't care if Tony Gilroy says he's not a fan of Star Wars. We don't care if people think this is too mature. We gotta get them back. But again, I'm sure I'm just gonna sit there like Emperor Drog. Mandalorian Grogu is gonna make $1 billion, and I'm just completely fucked. But you know, I will at least always enjoy this. And now this is the first time in my life since the first time I'm excited to go and watch Rogue One, which I will do this week. And the same way, it's like, I know it's like, it's a show, but now I kind of look at it as like we have 4 trilogies. I know this is blasphemy, but it's like, to me, it's like you got the sequels, you got the prequels, you got the original, and I feel like the 2 seasons of the show in Rogue One is kind of like its own trilogy now in a sense, because even season 1, it has a lot to do with like this season and Rogue One, but it still feels, that's almost like the origin of how we get to this Andor, right? Like the Andor and the missions, and then this is the origin of how we get to Rogue One. So it's like that's a much longer trilogy. That's like a 25-hour trilogy, but that's where I kind of have my mind where it's a big commitment, but and maybe I'll just want the little juice after I watch this. But to me, it's gonna be hard to ever want to watch Rogue One and not watch these 2 seasons first, you know. And I think that's just to attribute how good they made this show. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a lot of praise tonight. I had some fun moments with it that we already talked about in our GV chat, and there's other stuff I want to bring up here. But no, this was a very good special time, and not every Star Wars can be this as far as quality, but I really hope we can get something in the ballpark. You know, if I can get something that's like 75% like this, that would be fantastic. So yeah, no, it's up there as, like we've said, or I've said before at least, and you guys might agree with, like, best Disney content, Disney Plus, Star Wars. It's they really did something special here, and it's kind of a shame that it's over, but it happened, you know. So at least that's the thing. So
Absolutely. I wanted to say one more thing on just the aspect of this being like a prequel to the story of Rogue One, and pretty much just the main episodes, like overall, just like kicks us off on episode 4. Obviously, the events that picked up right from Rogue One, and I think best case scenario with a prequel is it supplements like the original story. Like it's not just a good telling of their origin. It like actually adds to the original story. I think it's best case scenario from a prequel story, and this obviously does that in many ways, in my opinion. But I think this also just like refreshed my interest in the Dark Times. Like I think the Dark Times has just been so like the main focus of so many stories, and like it's just been thrown in there so much. But like the way that this story was told and just tackling about like the early kindling of the rebellion and how fragile it is, and like this is before Luke faces off against Darth Vader and the Empire. This is just like the early process of it. But it just the whole idea of the rebellion versus the Empire. Like I just feel so much like I got a whole fresh coat of paint on this story that I know really well. Like I've seen those movies so many times and just like dove into other stories set around that. But I feel like this just did a really good job at kind of just bringing my interest in the Dark Times back. And maybe that's a bad thing, because now it's like, I'll take more Dark Times as opposed to like other stories, that other areas of the Star Wars world that we can jump into. But yeah, no, I just did a good job at Star Wars overall. Yeah.
I'll only take Gilroy Dark Times, because there's a lot of other Dark Times stuff. If you were to put it all together and like look at this content with everything, it's it's tough. It's but this definitely, in an era that I don't care about, at least made me care, which is definitely a feat to do. So, and
then I guess also looking at the glass half full, since this is only 2 seasons, I can easily throw this in if I want to do a Star Wars binge. Like I haven't actually seen all Clone Wars, but I'm not going to throw that in if I want to binge the whole Star Wars story.
You could skip most of the seasons. I would do
Clone Wars.
Yeah,
just like what, like the.
I would honestly.
What a great show! Hey, everyone talks to Kirkland. They talk to you about how great Clone Wars is, and you could skip most of the seasons. What I do,
you don't
I don't
need
call
to go
Clone
through.
War, difference though. I don't call Clone Wars a great show. I think it has great arcs and episodes. I do not think overall. I think there's a lot of people that like Taylor that grew up with the prequels. It's just like, I fucking love the Jedis and the clones and all that stuff. Like I get it. The people that like Taylor, and it's nothing's wrong, but people that have like Revenge of the Sith as their top one, yes, for them it's that. But for me, like, don't even talk about Clone Wars in the same breath as Andor. Fuck Andor.
No, you can't.
Clone Wars could wipe the show's
Oh my
ass.
god.
Yeah, come at me, Clone Wars.
You can't. It's an animated show, first of all, compared to a live action. I mean, Clone Wars, they're doing some very zany things, but you could pick and choose some of the later arcs where it's
like the last season,
really good.
The last 3 episodes, you can watch those. No, I agree. There's some stuff in there. It's just, it's not like this where it's a full meal. It's just a bunch of little candy, and you don't feel good after. Like, I ate too much candy.
You just feel dirty.
Yeah,
from watching Clone Wars.
Throw off. Yeah. Thanks, Filoni. Anything else before we get into spoilers? All right, so we're gonna take our first ad break, and then we'll be right back. And we are back. So, everybody, go down to the links below for everything you need to know. That's where you can find us on the video feeds, the audio feeds, but most importantly, head over to Patreon, because that's where you can get this episode and many other, well, not many, every single episode we do ad-free, along with a bunch of exclusive episodes, behind-the-scenes stuff. Polls will be starting up, because after July, right now, our current exclusive retrospectives are Mission Impossible, Superman / Supergirl, and then Fantastic Four. We got reviews of all those up there. I think Superman and Mission Impossible have their last few episodes soon here. If you want, that's what I was saying. In the late summer and end of fall, we'll be doing lots of polls for our retro. So look out for that, because you guys get to decide what we review and talk about. So it's a good time. So a big shout out to our Patreon producers: Aaron Braden, April with Darkness, Jack Grant, Sam, Super Bad Mike, God Loves Me 69, Jeremy Renner, Charlie Randall, and I will have to add him, Cocktail Clay is on there. So big shout out to Clay for becoming a Patreon producer. Check out when we did review Cocktail. Fun time. So... Well, I guess we can start with some of these comments here, just to see. There you go, boom, you're up there, sir. Who's just hating on the show in the Discord, But that's Clay.
I'm gonna take him back off, actually. No,
you know what? You're no longer. We will refund you your support. Everything like that. Let's see here. So I'm gonna go here, because I'm gonna go in order of some of these comments. Deidre, I want to talk about her first, because man, This is where I'm of two minds, right? Because the show definitely, and sorry, just to say, Kid Francisco said, Deidre on Arcana 5 is epic. What an ending to that character. Her story is definitely one that feels, man, that we got a little more time. It's tough. We've talked about this before, right? Of like even follow up on the Gorman or Serial stuff. It's like, well, you jump a year ahead, so it almost feels like out of place as all of a sudden if Deidre starts like monologuing about Serial or anything, right? So but that's the tough thing where it feels a little fast forward, but all these scenes are great. And yeah, she's looking for Axis, aka Luthen. But unfortunately, I don't know if it's completely her fault, but I feel like she kind of let some things slip. And oh god, what was the guy? Who was the guy who was the Luthen's rat? I can't remember his name. He has a bad
Oh, Yoon
fate
or
in
Young
this
or
one.
something like
Yanni or Alani? Is that who? Yeah, Kid Francis
Lonnie
right?
Young. It's like
Yeah,
Jung.
yeah, Lonnie Young. It's a fucking porn star name. A lot happens. But
Got the porn
anyways,
star mustache. Actually, now that you
he
say that.
does big time. Has some good videos out there. But it's kind of revealed that some things let slip through the crack via her, got to him, and that's where a lot of this information of the Death Star is getting out. Krennic interrogates her in a great scene. Again, that's another thing where we got Krennic stuff, but man, I could have used absolutely way more Krennic. And
yeah.
this was a top. I guess we can just start here. This interrogation scene was top tier because for a second they had almost convinced me. I was like, man, in a year's time, has she become a spy? Because they were talking about that. Oh, maybe that was her breaking point. And she turned. She didn't. But there's two moments when he puts his like two fingers on her head, and he's like, "But Young was logging your computer for 3 hours," and you just see the fear on her
It
face.
feels like force powers for like a non-force
Yes.
user. Like it
Yeah.
feels like Darth Vader is doing like just some force manipulation, or
but
when
it's
Kylo
just
does it with
pure
the Rey.
intimidation, you
Yeah.
know. And then when he's just manhandling, which is like a very like little dick syndrome. Like she can't do anything, right? She can't fight back. But when he leaves the room and he picks her up by the face and says, "We're better off without you," and then throws her down, it's like, Jesus Christ! Like we never got to see that Krennic at all in Rogue One. Like we saw him like have some power, but like
But he was a
more,
bitch in Rogue One because
That's
he's
what I
dealing
mean,
with
yeah.
Tarkin and Vader.
He's Weasley, so to see him thinking he's top dog again, could use more. But this interrogation scene was great, and just seeing the walls fall, around Deidre was fantastic. So
Yeah, no, I think just what we're like, just comparing Krennic's appearance in the One role versus here, and even earlier on in this season, like just seeing the different sides of him, and I think it's just a cool little insight into the like the power dynamic and how relative it is, like like to Krennic and Daedra in that moment, like that's like she Palpatine to like a nobody. Like she has no power and he is just, I don't know what his rank is, but he's got a lot of fucking squares on his shirt there. But then later on, like it's just like he, like in comparison to another higher up, like he is that Daedra type character, and we see that with Partagaz and I can't remember his name. Hirt, I think is his name. The one that's kind of vying for that position of finding access.
he's like a mega
He met
bitch.
a hilarious ending. I was laughing pretty hard at that. But no, just the actual interrogation sequence. This is what I wanted from the Ben Mendelsohn just appearance here. Like I think if we would have just got what we got in the earlier portions of the season, I was just like, oh man, like what a waste. Like he's just such a great actor, and I just want more of this character because he is such a different type of Imperial officer compared to everyone else that we've seen in the show, and compared to even others that we've seen in the past. Like I guess there's moments when he kind of reminds me of is it Hux? Is that his name from like the
sequel trilogy?
Rey? Yeah, sequel trilogy. There's
You're
just,
saying
yeah.
like the other guy, not Krennic, right?
I'm just saying, yeah, like from Krennic, I get like some like similarities, mostly in like the
Really?
Rogue One movie, not really in this appearance.
Yeah,
I'm just
Rogue
saying
One
like the
for sure,
different
yeah.
versions of an Imperial officer. Like I think the Ben Mendelsohn Krennic is his own, but then also there's just other moments where they just have glimpses of like isms of other Imperial officers. But yeah, no, I'm kind of getting off tangent, digressing here, but no, just I love getting that moment of just him being so serious and just really. Manhandling Daedra here in this moment, and it was over for you. I didn't think she was gonna get a redeeming moment. She had a moment of like helping out Hirt, which again, if we had a whole season of this, we probably could have explored that a little bit more. But Yeah.
Not even a redeeming moment, right? Because just helping out like an empire.
I know. I'm just like a redeeming for her.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been so over for you. Maybe it would have led to a different ending for her. Yeah,
I hope.
it's mostly just too much meat on the bone at the end of the day for me with the Deja stuff.
I hope no matter what, this was always the ending for her. Because I thought last week I was talking about, man, like Andor had her in his scopes. Like, I can't wait for Andor to fucking kill her next week. And this is where, for me, because again, it's coming up a lot in reviews. I'm always, I'm all for the death penalty, right? But in this situation, I wasn't for it in a certain review we just did for a Netflix show. Because like, oh, this is fitting here. And this one, I think, to me, is fitting because it. She's having to spend life locked away by the people that she dedicated her whole life to. It's the ultimate. It is 100 times worse than death, because at least there'd be some relief for her there. But she is locked up in that same prison that fucking Andor. And I'm so happy now that we got back there. So happy we never saw Annie Serkis' fucking face. Nothing against Annie Serkis.
He just shows up like, hey, know how to swim?
Yeah. Or like when they open up the cockpit on Andor's ship at the end, he's like, hey, and then they just cut to black. But very happy that just left up, because that to me is the right call there. But to me, this was like better, other than maybe like her ending up with fucking Saw Gerrera and Saw Gerrera like torturing the fuck out of her. Maybe that'd be the best option. But the next option to that, as far as her getting caught, is they just turn on her so quick. And it's like, at the end of the day, it's not that she was a spy and got caught. She made some mistakes, which, okay, obviously very bad. And it's because this is stuff leading to the Death Star, so again, very bad. But she still was doing it to try and find a leak. And the leak is somebody like Luthen, who Krennic, and that's the thing about the rebellion, right? Because eventually people just talk about what we talked about last week, right? Like Luke, Han, and Leia, right? Those are the three, those are trifecta. But like, Luthen did a lot of damage to the Empire, and he started the ball rolling on Yavin. If you look at this history, right, I'm sure George would be like, that's not my, it was all Luke. But like in our now Disney Star Wars, Luthen started the ball rolling on Yavin 4 and the Death Star and everything like that. So it is a situation where she's like, obviously I'm not rooting for Deirdre, but I mean, like, she's not in the wrong trying to hunt this guy down, because she's right about how crucial he's been to hurting them. But it doesn't matter. She fucked up, and not even taking your rank away, not even like a punishment, whatever it is. You're just a criminal, and she's probably in the rest of her life now. Whatever it may be. I'm sure she got some sense, but she's probably in there. Fucking, she gets to see it all. In the end, I would kill. We'll talk about the end, what happens, but I'd kill for like 20 years from now, like a Rogue One show after Episode 6, just to see that. Imagine what Deidre would think when you're like watching the news, or you hear the stuff of the Emperor, like the Emperor going down, everything going down.
Well, all the prisoners would be freed, right? Because they're all, enemies of the Empire. So the rebellion's like, you guys are on our side.
And that would be so interesting, because that's one thing that I think me and Taylor have read a couple of that have helped, right? And we've always said, I know I'm going a quick tangent. That's one thing Clone Wars does do, the TV show, where it adds some context to the prequels. That does help some things, right? We've said that before. That's where they need to do it next for episodes 6 to 7. There's tons of stuff in there. Now, at the same time, when we got to episode 7, I was like, how's the Empire just back? Now we've gone through certain things politically in real life. I'm like, oh, they could just come back, because bad people come back all the time here in politics. It doesn't matter. People fall for the same thing again. But what was the fucking book, Taylor, we read with Luke and Lando? Oh, man. No, put the dildo away. I want the book, the Luke and Lando. What is? I just need the Shadow of the Sith. Yeah. So there's that one.
Could have just told you.
Yeah, he could have just said to flex. There's a third one I'm forgetting, but the Shadow of the Sith. And I used to have the poster, the
Leia Han one.
Yeah, Leia Han one, and there's another one where it shows that again, and even some stuff in Mandalorian. I'll give them credit there. Some stuff in Mandalorian. I know Kirkland, you hate that episode, but of like with Kate O'Brien, the cloning and stuff like that. It shows. Remember, it's like a whole episode about them trying to get that cloning doctor, and it shows that some people are working for the new rebellion, but it's like they're actually still Empire. That's where I wouldn't mind taking a show to see what would it be like for someone like Deidre. Let's say she's locked up. How long is New Hope to Return the Jedi? Let's just say we're around there right now. That's like 7 years, I think, right? New Hope to Return the Jedi, Taylor? Or is it longer? Because I know Han's locked away for a year in Carbonite. So that's at least a year. Like, I know it's...
Yeah, and I want to say it was like 2 to 3 years between 4 and 5.
Okay. so let's just round up and say, even if it's 5 years, half a decade, right? What does a character like Deidre do when they are released? Because they're like, oh yeah, you're not with the Empire. You're one of us. You should have been locked away. And she goes back into society. Like, are you tempted again to, oh well, we're gonna be the new Emperor this time, whether it's Thrawn or Snoke or whoever it is, or like, is it like you want to do good, or are they just completely lost? Like, and they said there's stuff with Bix and other
She's gonna
things.
look
but-
up Serial's mom. That's the first thing she's gonna do.
And I'm surprised we didn't touch back on that. I thought for sure this week we would, but my quick point was just that I would be so down for a political what happens directly after 6, because as we've seen, it's not just how it was when we watched Return of the Jedi. It felt like, oh, they won and it all just flipped over, right? The good guys won and that's it. Here we go. But they've done, and I think there's some stuff that's like shadily not as well written done. Obviously the sequel trilogy is one of them, as far as how we got back to, like, what are they called, the First Order, but there's actually a story there, so we're not going to get it. But it just, Deidre being in there just interests me so much. Like, what journey would she be going, getting like all this fucking news, right? How would you react to a Jedi, like that fucking thing, like, oh yeah, this guy Luke Skywalker, he came in and he took out the Empire, like, because even Luke in Last Jedi say, like, they all kind of like attribute the win to him, right? So how does it feel like, oh, this guy that does magic, he came in and he took out Palpatine, he took out Vader, he took
Gandalf
out
just showed up
Tarkin.
and took them
Yeah,
all.
like, it's just how would the other people feel, Mon Mothma, she's still alive, hire her,
Well, I can't say that because it's an Ahsoka spoiler. But she's, she's
she's
got
in
friends in high.
Ahsoka.
Well, yeah, she's in it, but she's got
Yeah.
friends in high places, obviously.
But I just mean she's alive. You can tackle
Got
that
friends
era.
everywhere, Taylor.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. She's got friends
But
everywhere.
technically, I found this out this week. The actress that played the original Mon Mothma is still alive at 82. Show much
Bring her
respect to
back.
her. Yeah, bring them all back. Bring them all back. But Taylor, how did you feel about Deidre's ending here?
Yeah, I think it's morbidly fitting. I'm assuming that, are they still building Death Star components there? I mean, that's pretty
yeah.
shitty because she's
We're gonna have to ramp up again too.
That's the ultimate
for
full
the second one.
Yeah, that's the ultimate full circle when that second one destroys. Like, well, back to work.
Mhm. And she would know
I
that's
still
what
get
they're
my
building
pension?
there too.
Yeah, and like, because it's Empire based, do they get freed, or do you think the First Order swaps these people up? Because who the fuck builds Star Killer?
Oh, fucking
Imagine if Deidre's like, the war's over, the war's over. A ship lands, you're all happy, and then it's just a bunch of fucking.
We're gonna make it bigger. We're gonna make
Yeah.
it a whole planet now.
the fucking stormtroopers just pointing like, follow us, and like now Deidre's is there still just like fucking working on the Star Killer base.
Well, they get like, you said it, like in Mandalorian, they get kind of like repurposed and like put into this program for the New Republic. But that's one of the things I loved in Ahsoka, is because they're like, oh my God, like it's right underneath our nose. Like they're supposed to be processing old Imperial ships, breaking it down, but these crews are like secretly taking Imperial components, setting it off to like Imperial factories that are classified, and building Imperial like equipment or like new stuff. Like it's crazy shit that they're doing under the
Yeah.
nose.
Which again, I wish there was a better way we got there, because it's just like, that's how Palpatine did. It was all right under their nose. But again, that happens in real life of people getting back
It's
to
happening
power
right now. They're
so.
building Star Destroyers.
With our tariffs. That's what these tariffs are for. So we get a fucking Canada destroyer. Be a 51 state, or we're gonna destroy you. Just mean they're gonna take our maple leafs.
That'll do it.
We'll do it. As for just Daedra, yeah, she
1-star review. Don't make Star Wars political, Travis. Don't do it.
she went through so much to just achieve her goals, and yeah, she became very much there's a term, like a quote or a phrase
Fucked.
for when you get too curious, or curiosity killed the
Very
cat,
much
right?
100%.
And her
yeah.
her dedication to the job, she thought she was doing the right thing, but even in this arc, they loosely just throw it around.
Well,
that,
same
yeah,
thing
she
with
kind
Cyril,
of-
right? Like they have very similar kind of paths where like they dedicate their whole life to like this one cause, and then it gets a little bit. I mean, it ends
But
differently because
yeah,
Cyril
he
is
made
like
the choice.
disgusted. But
Yeah.
at the same time, he's so dedicated to the cause, like as much as she is. Like I think that's where they found that similarity.
Yeah.
But then
She just doesn't have that
obviously
urge to
it
break away like he
fucked
did.
him up. Well, I think it would have happened to Cyril eventually if he stayed on the path too. Like it would have been the same result, because you would have been right there with Daedra to the end, I imagine.
Win.
Just like if you would
like
have
if
been
Gorman
okay
didn't
with everything,
happen?
right? Like when she's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
we'll go back as heroes. Clearly,
Yeah.
the heroes go to Narmina 5 or whatever the fuck it's called.
But even though, like, I don't want to defend Cyril because he got what he deserved, at that same time, it's almost like fitting as far as, okay, you turn when it was too late, but you kind of get like, you get like a not merciful, but you get killed, right? And your torture's kind of over. Or Deidre, at that moment, she saw everything went down in Gorman. Cyril, she at some point probably saw that body, but still was like, yeah, I'm still here doing my job, right? And that's, to me, it's almost like the two forks as far as trying to be a better person. And that's where, not that Cyril's trying to be, but at least he couldn't continue to go through with these terrible acts, where she's like, yeah, I still can. And that's where now you get locked up for, till Starkiller basis. We've headcanoned it now that she's in episode 7 just working on that ship somewhere.
She's like, I don't know how old she'd be, 70 plus, just working.
Yeah, she'd be in her
like the
60s,
world record on the
you
times.
could add 30 years.
I feel like she'd be a good worker, because when they're doing
100%.
because it's all whoever finishes. I don't remember what
Maybe
the cause
Kylo Ren
was.
will have me back.
I will say with the Daedra stuff, specific, like, just to change in a different direction, when she meets Luthen, and I was just unsure on what was going to happen there. I think she really sold it on just being a curious. Like, I thought maybe she was just like, oh, I'm finally going to go check out this lead. I didn't think they had the whole place surrounded by that point, but I was just so fascinated by like the emotion that she was showing in that sequence. And at first I was like, okay, this is just how Daedra would interact with a regular Imperial shop, like downtown Coruscant, however she I'm sure she has a day off, maybe on her Sunday, go shopping, get some groceries, like just interacting with a shopkeep. Like that's kind of how it was. And she was just smiling, like when he's like asking if they're real and saying that she has something. It's like, I hope it's pretty. And she's like, oh, I'm nervous now. Like obviously now that I know, she's just kind of playing him and just building up to the big moment. But just for this being her whole goal, like the whole show is finding this character, for it to be the reveal when she pulls out the device, the box, whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah, I'm dumb.
Flight
I didn't
path,
know. I didn't know like how that was like the like I got you. I knew it's like clearly by Luthen's reaction.
His reaction is what sold it.
Yeah, but I was like, oh,
man,
that's the thing. Like it wasn't like a picture of Luthen like talking with Mon Mothma or something like that. I was like, all right, this means something. He's shady. I get it. So
yeah, but just I thought that was such an awesome scene, and in hindsight, I think she would have done better. I mean, there's many ways it could have gone better for her. But like if they just swatted the place, just come in, stun gunning him right away, like that would have been over for you. They could just interrogate him right away. But she wanted to have her moment, so I did appreciate the build up nonetheless.
She should have hit him with the
Honey?
Agassi, who is the head.
I'm gonna fucking kill you!
I
What's
mean,
her name
even if like Luthen's on his patio, they throw the stunners at him.
Deidre just kicks in the door. I think those three together are deadly.
We're gonna make our
videos.
own story with these video clips we have.
Yeah, and then what was his assistant's name?
Clea.
Clea. Yeah, she was just on the patio a couple miles away, just.
Memories bring back your. I won't forget you, buddy.
No.
Look at me! Oh no! Jesus Christ!
But
She's got more emotion than that.
Yeah, but Deidre, like she got caught. She got that. They said they brought her down. Like she got arrogant, right? She got cocky.
Yeah.
Because before she went that building, she was.
You know
like,
how long I've been waiting for this? Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
And unfortunately, she did make a name for herself in the worst way possible.
Right before she went in the door.
Holy shit, I'm gonna come.
When she found out he died,
What are you showing me? Come on!
It's scary how these work.
And
all
then when she's
different
trying to
audio
defend
levels,
her
it's funny.
face, she's trying to defend Krennic's like,
Shut the fuck up!
That's where we get our
now
one
this one
star.
works.
What is it? Is it titties?
All right, let's
That
get
one
back
never
on
gets
track.
used. That one never gets used.
That's why I use it. Let's get back on track. Actually, Krennic was telling.
Huh? Isn't that right? Huh, brother?
But
we
anyways,
maxed out. We maxed out our video use.
we did. We used that was a great run though. We almost
Yeah.
made every one work. So, but yeah, they even said like, "Why did you go in there alone?" And like when they said, I'm like, "Well, I don't know if she was alone. She had like fucking 20 guards out there." But I got the sense of like it was her. Like she didn't inform the greater powers that be, right? That hey, I got access. This is my mission. Like she didn't bring up everybody because she knew if and she's completely right. We've talked about this many times, Star Wars, especially this show, even when it started, and even back to episode of this season, like episode 1 or 2, when they're talking about Gorman. If she were to bring in those other people, they'd do this mission, and then it would be, oh well, Krennic caught the source. Krennic, whatever it was, or party ass, like all these people would be like, well, I'm the one who caught Luthen and I stopped it. So that's why she wanted that, right? Like it is a joke, but it literally is the Gambit make a name for myself, because if she brings that in and she's right and she like cuts off that source from, not a little bit to Yavin, but like all this information that's been going out, like the past, I can't remember how much Andor span, but at least even in this season, 4 years, that's a huge win. And you'll get that like, oh, the Emperor might want to talk to you, this and that. But then if you go out on your own and you fuck up, well, look what happened to Deidre. She got locked up and everything. So she did screw up. But I agree with you on both fronts of like, one, she was definitely like, playing with her food and eating it. And also Luthen, I'm like, you don't have like a piece of dynamite strapped to your vest or something. Like the fact you're like, like I think knife is like one of the worst suicidal in Star Wars ways where they can like,
man, it's traditional.
but it's like in Star Wars in land where they can save you from a lightsaber stab, and he's like, ugh, like at least do the throat, like at least like, but like I thought it was going to be that he actually was going to detonate the whole place, because especially he was already destroying stuff, so I don't know why he didn't just detonate it. And even then, I thought it would have made tons of sense. They did the callback earlier, and I guess we haven't talked about this. They did the flashbacks of how him and Clea met. Yep. They had him blow up like a couple transports with a bomb. Later on
Naboo.
On Naboo, yeah. And later on, she did that to get to him so she could make sure Luthen died without being tortured and being ransacked for information. But I thought that almost would have been like a cool callback, but like flash forward to the future, or like a good what is it when you're setting up for the future? It's gonna come later on.
Foreshadow.
Yeah, good foreshadow. If he would have blown up, obviously you wouldn't want to kill Deidre, but I would just make it as far like, she gets blown the side or she survives, right? And at the same time, you gave Clea that emotional stuff. Just from a practical point of view, I thought, this is how you're gonna do it? Like a knife, and you're gonna hope that you're dead. Like if it wasn't for Clea, he was fucked, because they were bringing him back to life, and then he would just been tortured for. And I don't think you would have gave any information, but there's some of those devices you can't help, right? Or even the Force, like I don't know, you get Vader down there. Like there's some things you just doesn't matter how strong you are, the Empire's gonna get at you. So I did get a laugh when he just, I get it because he's telling the story about the knife, but it's like, oh, couldn't you pull that acid on you that you're pouring on your stuff,
Yeah, I mean,
Minor
it just goes to show how unprepared he was for that whole event happening. Because, like, I'm curious what the actual time frame it is from when he meets Lonnie to like that meeting with Daedra. Like it seems like he doesn't do anything else, right? Like he talks to Clea, and then he just goes to burn down the place, and then he's just kind of rolling with the punches at that sequence. Like, do I not answer the door? And then if you don't answer the door, like, then you're just committed to, I got to just run, like, for my life, like, kind of the cat's out of the bag. But he goes to the door, puts on that great fake smile that he's always had. And it was interesting because it's a different type of, like, that Luthen performance. Like not just saying, like, the rebellion Luthen to, like, the art dealer guy. It was just a different version of, like, the art dealer guy, where it just seemed like he didn't have the same fuel to put on that performance. It just seemed like cat's out of the bag no matter what. This is kind of it doesn't even matter
it's
if
like
I sell.
half-hearted.
Yeah, exactly.
And you gotta imagine too, it's been a year, and Andor, the last conversation they had was Luthen was like, oh, they're gonna catch me soon. So I imagine he's been mentally prepared for this for quite a while now. Like I bet there's multiple times he's opened up that door and talked to someone from the Empire, but they were just there to like look at art or do something else, but probably thought, oh, this is probably the way it's gonna go. This one's a bit different because Deidre's higher on the totem pole, so I'm sure he figured that out. But it's like, I think probably multiple times for that year, he just woke up like, oh, this is probably going to be the day. Like, this is when it's going to happen to me. And when you're talking about Lonnie, I don't think that many hours, because remember when, we can't remember the other guy, but when he goes to party ass and he's like, oh, I was late because they found so-and-so dead. I think it's like within a few hours of each other, which that was
Max,
a
yeah.
brutal scene. Kid Francisco brought that up. Luthen telling Lonnie Yavin and then dispatch him afterward was epic. I don't know if I want to use the word epic. Like it's tough, right? Because this guy, if I don't think I'm wrong, but he decided to start helping Luthen because he had a child and a wife, right? And he was still like, and like I never got the sense he was like I don't know. It's tough to say he's not as bad as the rest of them. I just didn't take it as a win. I took it as, man, this guy has put in the time, and literally he gives them the whole stuff for the Death Star, and it's not like he's like he wants out. Like, I guess that's why I didn't feel good about the scene in the perfect way for the show, because it shows again we talk about like Luthen and Saw. Luthen is a fucking kind of terrible cutthroat person that will do it, but it's for the greater good, right? And that's where it's like this guy just wants to get away with his wife and his child. He's been doing this for at least 4 years, 5. He's always been under like extreme pressure. So I never got the sense he was like a Deidre Cyril, even where he's doing this, but like he's probably given them tons of information over the years where he easily could have pulled a Cyril. He could have been, hey, I know this guy, he's on me, and do what like he could have had Luthen served on silver platter years ago, but he didn't. So to me, I thought it wasn't like a good thing. I thought it just showed how even more so Luthen is cutthroat. But yeah, what a great way to do that, where he tells them. There's just a scene they cut away, Luthen's walk away, and just a wide shot of him on the bench, and it's like, oh no, and then they zoom in like bullet hole, it's like, man, or blaster hole. Just brutal way to go, because yeah, same thing now. This guy's like widow out there, kids lost a father, and they have you're gonna have no idea why. Maybe they'll put 2 and 2 together, but brutal scene.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a brutal scene. I think it's so powerful of just like showing that side of Luthen that we've seen time and time again. When it did that wide shot and like you just see him leaning over, I like gasped. I was like, no way that actually just happened. Like that's so savage, especially this guy, like you said, Travis, has been such a key part of just getting this rebellion going and giving absolute vital information. Like this is what sets us off to get the plans to the Death Star, because without this they wouldn't even know that that's a thing until it's way too late. Like it's already just started capping planets. And I don't know, like the more I stewed on the scene, it's all like obviously best case scenario would have been this guy gets away with his family on a ship that they just have, and it's like a get out plan to get to Yavin. Like that's best case scenario. But also the fact that he just shot him like that, like the Empire wouldn't know that he's really. Well, I guess they did know he was a rat. Like, at least Krennic did. But, like...
They figured it out, yeah.
Because Krennic knows, does that mean everyone knows? Or he just kind of kept... Like, I'm just thinking, like, that's also kind of a way to protect the family, maybe. Like, if this guy gets away and the family's still alive, they'll, like, start torturing, like, where is he? Like, what information you know? That probably will still happen, actually.
I hope not. I was gonna say,
if it is public information, like you were saying, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe it wouldn't be public because they wouldn't want to put out there that, like, they're getting spied on and people are taking advantage of them. But, yeah, I don't actually know what they would do to his family, because to me, like, that's a falsehood to think, oh yeah, they just like whatever, leave his family. It's like, nah, they might fucking lock them. Yeah, so it's like that's where it's like Luthen is kind of leaving these people out to pasture, and like the thing is,
but like, do you trust this guy with Yavin though? Like that information, like that's such a big thing to drop in the middle of the city there. Like I thought that was,
and even then,
bombshell.
Does Luthen at this point? I don't think he even has the power to get him out of there. Right? Like, but
that's why Clay had to call for backup, right? Like, there's no way they were getting out of there.
And Andor says that. He says it's not the call, it's like the final call. So clearly they had some sort of code, like, you only give us this call sign when it's like, we're fucking bouncing. We're getting out of here now.
It's the Breaking Bad vacuum dealer guy.
100%. Yeah, it's Dexter punching the wall and there's a passport and they're like, oh, fuck. Like, it's all those, like, tropes where it's like, okay, it is time to go. And same thing, what would you do? Round up this guy, his family, taking the same base with Clea. Like, Clea's going to deal with all this stuff. Now, again, not saying that's not bad for the family, because they don't know what they're in. They're just like, in their mind, their dad/husband just works for the Empire Police and they're doing a good thing, right? There's half the people we've talked about in the show that are with the Empire, like even Cyril, that don't know how bad it is or what they're doing. So I'm sure you could cut to the room and they're like, yeah, fuck those people in the rebellion. And they're just like, terrible kid, terrible wife. But like, we don't know that, right? But yeah, that was brutal way to go out. So RIP to Lonnie, one of the many people we've lost in these last 3 episodes. And then before you go, Taylor, Superman Mike, always Luthen, great speeches. when she talked to him about the rebellion, there's two lines. Mike has one. The other one I liked was, she's like, "Oh, well, where is it? Far from here. They've flown way past your grip." And then he's like, he also says, "There's an entire galaxy out there waiting to disgust you." And that's what I do like, that they emphasize many times that Luthen and Clea are like the last holdouts of anyone from the rebellion that would be on Coruscant, because it's just such a cesspool and danger now to go there. But I do like this. Yeah, it's too, like, obviously she plans to torture him, but like, there's nothing you can get here at Coruscant. Like, I'm the only person. Obviously, he's trying to protect Clea, but he's saying to her, like, I'm one guy you can get now, you know. And he even says, like, she's like, "Oh, I've been, looking for you all this time, and you're right here under my nose." And he says, "Oh, and the entire time I've known exactly who you are." So it's almost similar to that Serial situation, right? Where Serial was like fucking obsessed with Andor, and Andor was like, "Who are you?" last week, right? This is kind of a bit of a flip, but it's like in a mockery of she's obsessed with this person. And not that Luthen's not obsessed, because he knows who she is, knows how powerful it is, but it just shows like how many steps ahead, because he's just like, "Well, no, I had you figured out for like the last half decade, and that has to be, again, that's going to be fucking with Deirdre the whole time," because that led to her downfall. If she would have left this alone, she'd probably still just be doing her, maybe Lonnie would still got on her computer, but this Axis group is what got her locked up. So Taylor, any thoughts on Lonnie?
Well,
and
aren't they after her
Luthen?
because she's the leader, or like the one trying to find Axis?
Yeah,
Like,
so
that's-
if she would have just stopped.
Yeah, Lonnie wouldn't have even been in there.
Well, Lonnie still would have been in there, I think, wouldn't he have? Because he said that he didn't even tell Luthen that he went into her account like over a year ago and was digging and finding information and all that kind of stuff, right?
But why were they after her in the first place? Is it just because she was like the leader of the
They went in now
platoon?
because the main thing, like, Krennic didn't care about Access. Krennic didn't care about anything that happened there. Like, when he went into that interview room, it was like, okay, I want to know who knows about the Death Star. That's it. Because they knew that Lonnie found out the information right on her account. So
Oh yeah, and then she has that info because she was in Krennic's circle. So yeah, I guess that's not really related to Access. That's just her Imperial service, right? That put her in the room.
yeah.
Which I did really like, the back and forth with Partagas or whatever the fuck his
Partagas.
name. Yeah, part of your ass. Like, that's why I always just joke his name, because again, he was great this episode though. I always meme on it, but he was great. That whole, like, when they're going in the like the room and he's just like, you literally see him shaking. But when him and Krennic are going back and forth, and Krennic's like, "Why are people talking about this? Why is all this information?" He's like, "You were supposed to be done this like a long time ago." So it's a situation of like, I can't stop the information coming out anymore. Like, everyone's gonna know about it because it's a planet-sized spaceship that's a destroyer. Like, we can't hide this anymore. And Krennic's like, "Well, it's only a few days away." But then I still, like, when the scene ends, Krennic just kind of, Partagas says like, "Good luck, like, save it, like, tell your spiel to the Emperor, to Palpatine." And Krennic just kind of insinuates like, "Yeah, you're gonna be done after this. Like, if you don't succeed in finding, Clea or whatever." And that's what I would assume. That same thing. He's probably like locked up or he's demoted, whatever. Because Krennic kind of insinuated that of like,
Partagas?
yeah, because when he
Oh,
left,
he's dead, man. He's dead.
Well,
He
what
offed
happened?
himself.
He shot himself.
You didn't hear the blaster fire go off?
I think I completely missed
Yeah,
that. I must
he's
have
like,
holding the baby.
he's like,
at
"I
that
got to
point.
bring you in, sir." And then he's like, "Just give me a moment to gather my thoughts." And he puts the gun down, and then it goes outside the room, and then blaster fire goes off.
The
and then
stormtroopers,
about
like,
to go in.
Yeah.
And his
the
buddy's
guy's like, no.
What
no.
episode was that?
Wait,
That was the last one.
yeah, that was in the last episode.
I don't know how
It's
I
in
missed that.
like the wrap up of everyone's storylines, like the
I don't
quick,
know.
like,
I watched that whole montage. I was like, "Oh, this montage is great." I don't know how.
I was like, it's funny. I was a little bit confused on the scene because like when he was listening to the speech and then he's like in trouble, I didn't clue in that like it's just because he wasn't able to like find Clea. I'm like, is he like,
Yeah.
is he like actually a part of the rebellion here? Like, is it like like we have another
Big
mole?
twist.
Yeah, like that
I
would have
know,
been
full
crazy.
stop.
But
okay,
no,
well,
it's
there you
just,
go. Yeah, then
the rebellion
like,
ending. Or not
That's
the rebellion
I
ending.
said that it would have a bad ending, and apparently it clearly did have a very bad ending. I'll have to pull it up because I don't know how I missed that. So I was helping the kids near the end doing some getting ready, but damn. So, well, R.I.P. to that piece of shit. So I guess no R.I.P. No R.I.P.
Rest in pieces.
Taylor, anything on Lonnie Luthen's last moments? And anything? I don't have much to say. I liked all the stuff. Anything on the Luthen flashbacks as well with Clea?
Yeah, I like the stuff with Luthen and his history. I'd like to know a little bit more. Just judging by the other characters that were in that ship, it looked like they were mud troopers, which is the same kind of like division that Han Solo joined up in, where they have like those bucket helmets with like the big goggles and whatnot. Like it's like below stormtroopers in terms of like the militia or military with the Empire. And so everything that was going on with Luthen just sitting there in that ship and just hearing the background noises outside in the radio was just fucking brutal. Like, you guys get against the like not fucking wall, but get against the wall.
Savages.
Yeah, it's just, and then you just hear the blaster fire and like people screaming, and they're pulling people out of homes and just executing them on the spot. Just horrific shit, and Luthen just having a panic attack.
If you're having a
But
panic attack, are you just slugging back the liquor? Like, is that what calms you down?
Yeah.
I think it depends on the person.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
But it was brutal, and I love that as an origin story though, between him meeting Clea and them just having this really, I would say, unhealthy relationship, but a relationship where they definitely needed each other, and one helped the other in a lot of different ways mentally for them just to kind of keep going, even though they acted like tough as nails towards each other. And just, I like how it ties up everything between her and Luthen at the end, when you in retrospect now know when he's like move, and then they kind of smile at each other, and just how it's a callback to them when they first met. So I liked everything about that, and I could definitely have done with a little bit more of that origin story. Him getting to that point of death, I mean, I would have definitely, I don't know, like if you're trying to off yourself, slitting your own throat, probably, I don't know, I feel like you'd feel every single bit of pain. And he probably doesn't probably want to feel all the pain, I would imagine.
Okay, but what do you think's worse, feeling that or like the Empire keeping you alive for months on end?
I think
like,
he was counting on bleeding out, and the moment he
I know, but if it doesn't, you're gonna have like Saw Gerrera, and they're gonna take your dick, so you don't want to go that route.
That's what he did.
Breathe
He just chopped
it
it off.
in.
We didn't see.
Let it run wild.
Just cuts off his dick.
You'll lose your dick if you go in there. When does this fucking suicide happen? I'm watching this montage, and I haven't.
What are you talking about?
It
Oh,
wasn't-
fucking party ass.
I don't remember it being in the very like montage. I remember it being just a little bit before.
Oh, okay. I think it says the montage. Let's see here.
I remember it being that, but I also just powered through the 3 episodes. I just see them all at once.
It's a problem. It's 3 fucking episodes. So.
Shoutouts in the montage too to Mon Mothma's ex-husband. He's just
Oh yeah, he just
hooking up with a new
smashing-
woman.
Yeah,
drinking.
Well, that was. What was his name? Like the father of the son who married the daughter. What was the name? Draven. That doesn't
Draven
sound
is
right, man.
he's the rebellion general.
Okay, I did see that
Davos.
scene.
That was
I
his
think
name.
Davos, yeah.
I think I just didn't hear the gunfire, and I thought he just like. It was like because he put his gun down, so I just slammed some down.
Yeah.
So damn, yeah, jeez, yeah. We weren't gonna get it, of course, but I would have. I don't know. I think I would be more interested in seeing Mon Mothma's daughter than the husband, because I didn't give a fuck with the husband. Husband was like a piece of drunk shit.
It
who
seemed
just, like,
weird.
yeah,
It seemed weird.
It did. It seemed like this character, and like that character's never been that important. Where the daughter, at least for an arc, was important very much to Mon Mothma, right? Like you could have done that splitting between the two, and that's another thing where I wish we got more of Mon Mothma at Yavin 4. I think we, again, that's a letdown of a truncated season. It was fun to see her there. It was fun to get that round table of everybody. Obviously, you still had Bail Organa back again. Always, Brad did a great job. Just very much wish Smits was here, because I think that would have been tons of fun. But no, I wish we got more of her there. That was my worry. It's tough because that flashback stuff with Luthen, he does deserve it, because I think he's such a very unique, great character, and Stellan Skarsgård has like done a phenomenal job with him. But at the same time, as we're again, it's like, oh man, we're not going to get a lot of with Mon, or a lot of like even with Saw Gerrera. Not that I need more in Saw Gerrera, but it's like I thought when we did that whole episode where he like had him smell the gas, all that stuff, like, oh, soon we're gonna get some big like something big with Saw Gerrera in Arc. Never really happened. He's just still around, being radical, doing his thing. Even here, he called in like, I'm gonna keep attacking ships, and Mon's like, hey, you shouldn't do that, because that's very dangerous. He's like, well, I'll do it. And then, okay, fuck, like, why did they even call Saw Gerrera? Like, just give up on him. But obviously, he's gonna be eating dirt in a couple days now, so he's done. But yeah, so especially because Genevieve O'Reilly, like, it's tough to say who's the MVP of the show, because I think it all depends on the arc, but she was probably at least my surprising favorite performance that we've talked about many times. Disappointed, and obviously last week she had a great episode with the speech, right? So it's tough to say that, but would have liked to see her more operating in Yavin, because it's like, oh, we finally got there. And it was a couple scenes, and that was about it, right? Like, I don't even count the scene with her cousin, because it's like, well, that's just them talking about with each other. It's not Mon in a different situation. It's still just showing that she still cares about her cousin. But yeah, so good content, but it was a little disappointing we didn't get more. So
Yeah, and I think it's another example of just this set. Or I guess not a set. It's a trifecta of episodes. This batch, it seemed like it was the most rushed out of all of them. I think it's just because it had to wrap up everything. Yeah. Like every loose end that we hadn't touched yet. This is where we kind of have to close it out. But I still feel like there was some unanswered thing. Like I wanted to get that daughter appearance at some point with Mon, and it's just another thing that adds to my I wish we had more seasons of the show. I just think there's a lot of juice there if they seen what she would have been like I just feel like she would have been such a corrupted individual now in her psyche of like she was already like different mindset, I think, of her mother, like talking about Mon's daughter here, but to just get that like a more like now that she's a woman and like just been having her own thoughts and like how she sees the world and very pro Empire, at least is how it was set up to be. I'm a little bit, especially just we're never gonna see that character. I've seen all the movies, I don't think we're gonna be getting that movie touching about that character.
Yeah, and the other one that I'm kind of surprised, like I feel like out of all the characters, Clea still just being at Yavin 4. I know she can just be a soldier doing whatever, but it's like either the characters died or met end like Deirdre, where it's like, okay, they're locked up, like they're why they wouldn't be around. You don't go to Yavin 4 much in Rogue One or even A New Hope, right? But I didn't think she was going to make it. I thought she was going to do like a self-sacrifice play to make sure Andor and the other guy make it out, but no, she made it and she's on Yavin 4 doing whatever, so
yeah, that was one where I really thought she was going to die just because she wasn't in anything else, any project after this. I was so like, I feel like I was more gripped by the intensity in like her extraction than the Mon one. Even like, and like that's not bringing away from any of the Mon stuff. It just seemed like this is where this character is going to die because I know that she's not in any other projects. Mon, I know she was, so it was a little bit of different feeling there, but they just did such a great job of like killing the comms. Like there's such a Cassian and Welshi, is that his name? Welshi?
I think it's Menshi, but I will confirm.
I thought there was like a Elshi in there, but you'll tell me. But yeah, no, I just think there was many factors that just added to the just the intensity of that sequence. And good old K2SO coming in, just being the Terminator. It's funny. It's like he's equally as scary as like the actual Empire versions, like the non-reprogrammed one. But just the way that he walks in comparison to like the was it last week's episode when we see them popping off at Gorman?
Yeah, the last rebatch. Yeah,
Melshi, thank you, Taylor. But like just the way that he's like walking like so. Just calmly, and like just every dialogue sequence that he had was just getting me good, and just viciously murdering these Imperial soldiers, and they're so confused. They're like, why is there like a security
must
box?
Be a local.
And then the way that like that one officer, whatever his name is, Lonnie's buddy, the way that he dies when he's just like holding him
the
through.
Scene.
I laughed so hard
that
when
was
he's just
crazy.
coming out, and Buddy's just shooting.
Like the scene of Austin Powers too, and he like takes the one girl and just uses her as a shield for like the whole like action piece. Yeah, I had in my notes. That was
Wolverine, right?
Yeah, nice pull. Yeah, that was crazy.
It was the way it was filmed was just it was horrific because the guy's just dead and just ragdolling as he's being pelted with shots. It's like fuck, but you're right. Like just the confusion and the officers like not knowing if. Like what's going on, why this KX unit is there, and just hearing like part of guys on the comms listening like why is this droid here, but the tension leading up to this, and like me and Madison were laughing when K2SO was like, I was in a parade there once. There were 200 of us. Da, 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 da. And then like the whole tone shifts because it goes quiet, and then K2 is like the Emperor was there, and it just sounds like fucking haunting because it's no longer a joke, and what he's saying, and it just sounds ominous. Yeah, fucking Palpatine. It just sounds ominous, and I think as much as I wanted the Emperor in this show. Some of the mentions are comedic, but there are other notions of him where it feels fucking spooky. He's a spooky guy.
I was playing myself throughout this whole season. I'm like,
You're
I know they said Sheev's not coming, but
Yeah,
He's
what were
gonna-
you
he's
in this
gonna
whole
appear.
season?
He's
You're
gonna
playing
appear.
with yourself.
Absolutely, I was. So
Whole
into
Andor
it.
arc. Just
This is me afterwards, just exhausted.
Sorry, Shay, I got nothing left. 3 episodes.
I was convinced though. I'm like, I know they said he's not coming, but Sheev's gonna appear here right at the end. They're gonna play us all. But,
That's
you know,
where Party Guys is going. We're gonna take you to Sheev. You have to speak to the Emperor. It's like, no, I'm just gonna off myself, which I don't blame him. I
move.
mean, yeah, I'd
gonna
rather
turn
off
you
myself.
into Snoke.
Let's take another ad break, and we'll be right back. And we're back. All right, Steppa Mom, we talked about. More Pottergrass there. I'm saving the big stuff till the end. Trying to think if there's anything other. Go ahead, continue.
I want to shout out again. We talked Melshi, so he's a Rogue One character. There's a few other Rogue One characters that we saw, but Admiral Raddus, I was not expecting to see him. That was super cool. He's not like a huge main character in Rogue One. He's Admiral
Who's this?
Raddus. He's the Mon Calamarian. So him popping in, he leads the invasion on Scarif in Rogue One, and so it was really cool to see him pop off here. And that just the connections with his character and everything into Scarif. I like how Scarif is just, especially with everything we've kind of gone through with Andor and seeing how the rebellion does small little hit and runs, stuff like that. And the Empire doesn't really even know how big the rebellion is at this point. And then when you get to Rogue One and you're dealing with the rebellion attack on Scarif, this is the first major conflict. Like, this is the Empire, like, holy fuck, like, this is
Open war.
it's
essentially.
open war, and it's a massive rebellion fleet, and so they're like, holy shit, scrambling and trying to like get things going and defend Scarif. And so that, I think it just adds so much more weight to that battle, knowing that it's the first one, especially because we've seen, okay, the rebellion is trying to just recruit everyone and bring people in to Yavin 4, and now they're trying to get organized and set themselves up, get funding, and become an actual army now at this point. And that it leads to that. So seeing Admiral Raddus was really cool, and seeing a few of the other characters as well was really, really cool. Yeah.
I agree.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Shout out to the young actress that played little Clea. I thought she did spectacular. And yeah, I wish we had a whole episode just on the flashback alone. And shouts out to Luthen's hair. It was, I've seen some different hairstyles in there, but in the flashback, you just got the spiked front look, and it's like,
Yeah.
this is Army Luthen.
That's a
I,
been
kinda
through
like
shit
it.
haircut, like it.
That's just
no
like a blast
style.
went off,
Yeah,
and he's
no
just his hair.
style. It's just you just shave, go cut. Yeah, and shout out to, because there's not much to say to him in this. I feel like he's just like kind of a conduit in this episode, unfortunately. But shout out to Diego Luna, of course, who's always fantastic. I think he got the one great scene when he was explaining why they should not even trust Luthen's opinion here, but at least trust that it could be real and why it's looked into. And that whole idea of you didn't even know him and he shut other people down, like other than Senator Mothman. He gives this whole speech about he saw the good and the bad. That was great. The rest of the episodes he didn't have too much to do. Like even the episode with Clea when he finds her, that's like more action stuff, and Clea's driving that scene, right? Like she's telling the plans, and like the last episode it's just like Andor. The last 20 minutes just Andor walking around Yavin like looking cool in a montage, which Diego Luna does look cool, but he didn't get too much to do in this. I feel like this was. It's less about him here because like he's about to go transition into a 2.5 hour movie, so you got that. You kind of want to round off everyone else's story because his ending is coming on Rogue One, right? But he did get that one great scene in this arc, even though there was one moment I completely disagreed with. I had in my notes just from a tactical point of view when they get back into the room and the stormtroopers and whatever are there. And the other guy's like, "Oh, I'm gonna close the door." He's like, "No, don't." And then later he's like, "Well, should I?"
That's like a Warzone move, And then as soon as that happens, we're all like, "Nice call, Travis. You're never calling again for the rest of the night."
100%. Because then he's like, the guy's like, 15 seconds, 20 seconds pass by, and he's like, "So should I close the door?" And he's like, "No, we could get dropped in." And it's like, in the second, stun grenade! Like, the second Andor made that call, I'm like, no wonder why you die in Rogue One, buddy. Like, fuck, like, close the door. Like, what are you going to do? Run past it? Because, like, they can close the door and then, like, reopen it if they win this. Like, it just, especially, too, because, like, if K2SO didn't show up, they were dead. Because, like, fucking buddy's calling that Andor, and he's like, oh yeah, and he's like looking around the floor for his gun. He's just seeing nothing but like Jesus' cock right now. It's just like white. He can't see anything. So I just thought that was like the weirdest like play. Twice he had the opportunity to change his mind about closing the door and he didn't, and it fucked him. So I just laughed. And so yeah, maybe again not most tactical. Maybe that's why he's not getting that trophy at the end of New Hope. He's not there with everybody else. But it was nice to have you around again, Andor. So
Yeah, he's just so good at playing, like, obviously he's a rebellion hero here, but like also just the moment when they're doing, the the liar's dice sequence, they're using dominoes, the 4 million.
Oh my
fours.
god,
I
that
burst
4
out
million
laughing. Yeah.
fours.
But just
Inside
like him
joke.
socializing, like, like he's not fighting right now. He just got downtime. He's socializing with Melshi and K2 and just those little like downtime moments. It's like,
Yeah, that's
I'm
good.
gonna really miss Diego Luna's Andor performance, and it's just a really interesting character, and we see a lot of different sides of him, and that's something that you do get from the year jumps of just kind of like, okay, this is when he's really close with Bix, and they're doing kind of missions together. To Bix has been gone now; he's kind of accepted it. He's just full on Captain Cassian, fully in with the rebellion, and there's been times when he's pissed off at Luthen. He explains that here, and just really says like he's basically just fucked, like the way that he sees the world and where he is now. Like he accepts that like that is actually what's necessary in order to make this full scale rebellion. And then just double down on what you said, Travis, about his model, like his spiel to the council here, and just basically telling them about the Death Star. And when they're not buying it, it's like none of you have even given a fraction of a sacrifice of what this person did, and like he died for this, and you're not even going to entertain this person that started this whole rebellion. Like, are you kidding me here? And it just like, it's as if he's in Crazy Town. Like, are you kidding me? Like you guys aren't taking this right now. So I really like that sequence. I wish that could have been like multiple episodes, honestly, of just like, will we, won't we, which normally in shows I feel like, come on, let's just fucking make this point. But the show is just so good. I want more content wherever it's going to be. And pass on to you. What were you in sports?
Final ratings? No. It might be all I have other than the big stuff. I'll take a look at my notes, but I think we've hit on most of the.
You're not going to talk about the big stuff before final ratings? You're like,
We
really?
are. That's what I mean.
Okay.
I'm just looking
Okay,
at my
I
notes to
see.
see if there's anything else to. K2's a shield, not closing the door. No, I talked about everything that's in my notes other than Bix. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about that's not Bix related? Shout out to Mike. He brought up in our Discord if we would talk about the sister, even when they, I can't remember the cousin's name, but Mon Mothma, which is like
Val.
like even then again, that's where it's like this feels like this should be like in a subplot that has many more episodes. Because when she's like, well, just need you to find out Andor's lying or not, and she goes there and she's like, well, Mon wants me to find out if you're lying, and then she's like, what's the plans? And Andor's like, well, the Death Star. Like it's very like usually I feel like you get like this buildup of like a kind of will they won't they back and forth spying each other, and they just both lay their cards out, and it didn't feel like we trust each other so well. It just felt like we don't have time to actually do like a whole subplot where she's trying to, and because it just felt like that was very easy. Like Mon Mothma could literally go over and do the same thing, but it was funny when they were toasting all the people they've lost. I thought for sure that's when the sister's gonna come up. Didn't even come up then. It's like no, she just fucking got massacred on that planet. But so this is something where this character earlier on when I think it's this character, is she the one that mentions Bix to him, right?
Vel?
Yeah.
So it was very not confusing. I was caught off guard when she mentioned that because I thought it would be in a way where Andor's never heard anything of her, like it's just out there in the ether, right? But it sounds like if Andor really wanted to find her, he could, because she even says like, oh well, you should find a way to check up in her or something like that. So that was surprising to me, and obviously he chose not to because he said like, oh, is she
Found out
safe?
she had a kid.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
all right,
well,
I'm out.
Taylor just fucking takes. He wanted to take. I want to say that Bix as a kid, fucking bastard over here. But like, I was surprised that he could just contact her, but he does say that. Well, if she was with me, she wouldn't be safe, and I'd rather be safe. So makes sense. I was just surprised they went that route. But yeah, everything happens. We go back. We did last week say like, oh, we're gonna get an update on this droid. Well, we did. We saw that droid again, and the way they had it shot, I'm like, man, she's gonna turn around a fucking kid And like Taylor Field said there, that's what happened. It's just so funny. We talked about this last week where I said there was that shot, and obviously there was no revelation there, but there was that shot of her when it was just her torso up. I'm like, oh man, they're gonna make her pregnant. This is gonna be fucking heartbreaking. And then they went the wide angle, like, oh no, they didn't. Okay, but just like whoever was in that writing room, bravo, because they had the same thought of, oh, how can we? After we've spent 2 seasons of making this show that no one count on Andor being one of their favorite characters. I'm not saying for everybody, right? But for many people, Andor's loved the show, the character, and now they even want, without this little piece of information, watching Rogue One, I'll feel so much worse when Andor dies. Like, how even more can we just twist the knife? And that's why I thought they were going to do it, but when last week they revealed she wasn't pregnant, I went, okay, it's just me fantasy booking here. But man, when I could see like she's holding something, they turn the camera around and she's a kid, it's like, fuck, man, that makes it so much worse. That the whole like, well, yeah, after we defeat the Empire, I'm gonna come find you. Andor has no idea. And again, from Bix, it makes sense, right? Because if he knows he has a kid out there, he's probably not doing these missions, right? He's probably back with her. He's probably not going to do this. But that was just, man, and I literally teared up because it was one of these things where it's like, that is fucking brutal. When I watch Rogue One now, it's like, man, this guy has no idea he has a kid out there, and he's just like, he just wants to get back to Bix, but he didn't even know that, and now he's gonna die. Not even meeting this kid. He's never gonna meet him. You're just gonna hear stories about it, and then he's gonna die like not even the face of the rebellion. He's just like, oh, one of the many spies that helped us along and everything. So when that reveal happened, man, that was chef's kiss, and that was like that ending shot. It's gonna stick with me for a very long time. So kudos for the team for just going that far into it. So
yeah, I mean, I was really shocked by the whole thing. I don't know, I'm kind of in two hands here, because part of me felt really just like, why are we even doing this when Vel was bringing up the big stuff to him? Like, it just seems so unnecessary, because like I was under the impression also that like he just has no way of contacting her. Like, that was a part of it. Like, she's just she
kind of defeats the purpose if you can phone call away.
Yeah, like she took the Breaking Bad phone call thing. Like she's out of there now. Like she's completely gone. But in that moment, it seemed like, well, it sounds like she's open to you coming back, and it's like, well, then why the fuck did she even do this? Like, I guess you can make the argument that it's been a year, but like it's also only been a year. Like it hasn't been that much time that's been going on, and it just seems like he's in a place right now where he's fully accepted that this is the best case for it, and he does say that even in that conversation, but it's like, why are we even bringing this up right now? Like, it's not like the war is over. like the rebellion is starting here. Like, we kind of need all hands on deck. We
they didn't just
lost
break
Luthen.
Up. She left him for a specific reason.
Yeah, exactly. So I was really like, it sounds too extreme, but I think it's like a con, honestly, that even happened. And then we get to the moment with Bix, like on the planet, and it's really powerful. I definitely think it adds to just the tragedy of losing Andor when we get to Rogue One. But yeah, I think we could still get that without Vel bringing up is it Bix? Bex? Fuck, she's been gone too long. I don't even remember how to say her name. Bix.
Yeah, you didn't need it. You didn't need it all.
No,
I guess it just showed. Like, I don't know. I guess it showed that Andor came to the conclusion that Bix was right. But it's just like, if
I don't know. We knew that already, because he's here doing the rebellion things. Like, he could have just been looking for her in the cosmos somewhere.
I think that's the argument they're making, though, is that he has the way that he could just get to her, where if he didn't, the argument could be, oh, well, he's been out there just searching ever since the year he left.
Yeah.
Like, obviously he didn't because they got the K2 droid, but that's the case. So I think they want to show, like, no, Andor really, he could have found Bix and been with her, but he chose not to. But it's like, well, like, and I don't know, I feel like that kind of takes away from Bix's moment last week of like, I guess I get what they're doing for Andor, but like, I almost like that in the horrific way of he doesn't get a choice. It's almost like you have to be here, and then he does maybe realize. Like, I'd be fine if they brought Bix and he says, oh yeah, she made the right decision or something like that, but not in a way where it's like, hey, you should get back in touch with her. Like, not that, like, just in a way where he does realize she was correct. I did want to be with her, but my place is here. I got to make a difference. That I would have been fine with that if for some reason, like if they were talking about all you could have done is the scene where they're toasting. even though they didn't lose Bix, you could bring her up in that scenario, right? Of the people that we've traveled with. And that's where you can have that scene of, when she left me, I was crushed, didn't know what I was going to do, but she was absolutely right. And she's not with me, but she's safer. That's it. That's easy. So I agree. It's kind of a minor critique of mine. It just felt like they're trying to like remind us, like, hey, remember Bix? It's like, it's been
Yeah.
a couple,
It's been
it was
a week.
last week. Yeah, like 2 weeks ago, I guess,
Yeah.
if you were watching in order or something, but still.
Thinking about it now, I feel like it could have been so much better and like that much more just brutal, I think, if Vel knew about like the pregnancy and she was torn on telling Cassian, and then she never did. Like they have that moment. Maybe he does do like the toasting off to Bix, and then she just kind of holds it back and just lets it lie because he is more important here. I think that's maybe a better way to do that, but and again, I'm picking at a very minor thing here. Like it's a con, but like the overall health of the show doesn't bring it down by any means. But it's something that I was scratching my head on, just because I think the whole quality of the show has just been so seamless, and then in here it just seemed like there's a
But we
couple
got that
little
with
rumples
Mario,
in the rug.
right? Every once in a while they slip.
Mario. Oh, yeah,
remember
Brasso,
a couple
that's
episodes
right.
ago. Like, there's always,
Oh,
I
not
feel like
Brasso.
it's because this show is so fucking good. It's like, all right, I'll let you afford this one slip. But every once in a while, you just look like, did no one look at this? Like, do we need this? Is this smooth? And it's like, but we're locking Deidre up in jail. Like, yeah, that's pretty good.
We're locking Diddy up for
Fucking
sure.
Diddy.
That's
Yeah, Deidre looks
He's
over
building
her
the Death Star
cellmate.
for life, that guy.
He should have took maybe the fucking party grass route, but that's a whole nother conversation. Taylor, how do you feel on the Bix reveal here?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it. Madison looked over at me and was like, why would they do that? Like, what the hell? Like, why do they just want to make people feel like shit?
Madison's tweeting at Tony Gill right now.
What the fuck?
Tell me why. Yeah, I'm gonna rip your posters down, Tony.
But yeah, I think it's like you said, twisting that dagger, and it's fucking brutal knowing that once you get into Rogue One that he's got a little child out there, and he's not gonna be able to. He doesn't know that kid is out there, his child. It makes it a lot better too that he does not kiss Rey in that end scene before they die. Or not Rey, Jin.
I don't know you, little girl, but like Ray's like a fucking like embryo right now. She's not even alive. Right?
Yeah, little Palpatine grandchild.
Yeah, like,
His child Snoke in the future.
yeah.
Little
I
baby
know. I
Andor.
just thought about that. He's fucking this woman on the beach, and he's got Bix out there waiting for him. You know.
He doesn't
so-
know. They broke up, right? That would have been it.
But they're supposed to be back
No,
together after the
They're
war.
on a break. They're not breaking
okay.
up.
This is the Friends thing with Rachel and what's
Ross.
his face?
Okay,
Ross,
so
yeah.
a war starts. Kirkland and Shay's like, "Hey, we'll be back together, but the war has to end." Do you consider yourself broken up?
I guess not. Yeah, I guess you got me there. It's just I think the imperial scale of this this intergalactic rebellion. This war's not ending. Come on, this is the biggest of the world
Well,
wars.
it does. Just give it 5-6 more years. I see why I would. Emily's not gonna like this. Why I would consider us broken up, because it was a mutual decision. She made that decision for us. It wasn't like, yeah, let's talk about it. You're right. Leave. When the war's over, let's get back together. It's just like, well, fuck me. Like, I didn't get any say in this. Like, even if it is the right decision, it's like that's and same thing. Basically, fucking dead somewhere. So you're not supposed to progress your life at all.
And
or
she
anything?
sleeps with him the night before, and then leaves a note, right?
Yeah, she didn't purposely. He like looked over. What are you
Just
doing,
wanted
Bix?
to
And
come.
her legs are up. She's
pull the
trying
condom
to
off.
Yeah. Is there a chance though? Because it's a year, and that kid was looking a bit bigger. Is there? I think there's a chance that she already knew she was pregnant last week when she gave him that ultimatum.
I'm gonna
right?
say, is there a chance that he was not the
Different
father?
person, yeah.
Luthen.
He's a
Bale.
fucking Zabrak or something. It's like little baby
With
Darth
big
Maul.
horns. Luthen comes. Or
That'd be a painful pregnancy. Oh my
What's
God.
his name? Like, there's a what if where Andor comes back, like, the war's over, Bix, we can be together. And then they look at this little fucking Dothraki.
Hello, father.
Dathomir. Yeah. Oh, I should have fucked Gene on that beach. My God. Taylor, same question to you.
Who the father is?
No, Madison leaves you a note, says she is leaving. Well, one, do you guys agree that she might have been pregnant or very likely was
Yes,
pregnant last
I
week when
agree.
she left?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's like when the baby happened. So then that we're all on the same page there. And then Taylor, if Madison left you a note saying, "Oh, after the war, we're gonna be together," do you consider yourself broken up?
We're heat of war, and Madison sleeps with me that night
The
before,
Rutland
gets
Wars.
up and leaves. Yeah, the Rutland Wars, and then all I wake up to is a note saying that this is what it's gonna be. We would not be broken up. No,
okay.
I'd be
Can't
pretty
get away
torn.
from me that easily.
Yeah.
You're gonna be interviewed.
She's at the save on 3 blocks from now. Go, go, go.
Yeah. Fuck.
All right, then let us know in the comments. Let's see if anyone agrees with me that because it's not a mutual decision. And I'm not saying for sure I'd be like, I'm looking for pussy. Like I'm not saying that like the second she's gone, I'm sure it would hurt me. And maybe I'd have to feel it in the moment, but I just feel like there is like it's not completely mutual, right? It's like, and wouldn't you be so mad too? Obviously didn't happen. What if that war ends and she's with somebody else? Is she telling every guy like, no, I'm waiting for his father to come back? It's like, it's 6 years. Like, it's
Well, that was
thing.
the story she stuck with when the Imperials were there, right? Like, oh, my husband.
But that's different. My husband's, I guess she always says that my husband's working, but like, at any point, does she find out Andor's dead?
She
Or,
finds
like, the
out when
war-
Andor comes back.
Honey? Agassi, who is the head.
I'm gonna fucking kill you!
The double drop. We got the double of it tonight. What was I gonna say? Because like, does she just like the Empire War ends and then Andor never comes back? She's like, well, I guess he's dead. You know, like, or does she find out before then?
She seems like she's accepted. She's at peace.
At this
gone.
point, considering there's a lot of people that do know Andor, I feel that it's safe to say that people obviously know about Bix too, and they'll probably report to her about the fallout. But again,
Just front
Some
page
fucking
news
this guy on
picture.
this beach.
That's what I was gonna say. It's that picture of him. And I'm gonna find it. It's just like front page, like hero Andor dies while sex. You know, like.
like if anyone was to say anything, I feel like Mon Mothma, who knows that Cassian was a part of that group and they got the plans. 'Cause I would give them credit that he's not like a super big unknown too, because I mean they managed to get the plans, that strike team. So
Like imagine Bix Boy opens up her newspaper and it's a photo of this for Andor and Jin are just embracing. Again,
Butt ass naked.
yeah. If you were to see that, you would think like, even if he didn't have sex in him, I was like, that asshole's fucking someone the whole time I was gone. You know? Oh my god. Jeez. Well, sorry. Maybe I hold my hope that we're our post episode 6 TV series show, fucking about Andor's son. You know, get him in there, whatever his name is. Hell, just swap it. Have Diego Luna play him. Don't even. Don't say anything about it. Just play it straight that he looks exactly like his father, and go. I would
maybe
take
he's
it.
Broom Boy from Last Jedi.
Oh God! What happens to Bix then? He's like a little slave on Canto Bight.
Yeah, she got killed by the First Order or something like that. Just waiting for Andor.
You Andor's kid? Yeah, come with us. Oh, jeez. Connor Williams says, my headcanon is that Vel goes to Minoru after Scarif to deliver the news. Bix goes back to Ferrix at the end of the war. Lays a brick for Cassian Barroso. Yeah, I can see that. Again, we're having some fun. I do imagine, yes, there would be a way for her. No, but even then, it might take some time because you might just think he's out there. But yeah, so it sucks for that. But we're not going to get any follow-up there, which is fine. That's it ending on a solemn note. But anything else?
I want to say it's apparently super easy to just show up at Coruscant because they show up in their U-wing, they land, they have no fucking trouble at all, and I thought
they got out of there really easy too. When
they got out of there really easily.
Yeah, that was definitely some. We don't have time. That we're just gonna like when they took out that squad and then they're like walking back to their plane. Like there's no gunfire, there's no other guards positioned outside. It was a very easy like kind of like we say like skip a cut scene type of writing, but.
Well, they're all looking for the diseased lady, right?
Yeah.
Is that the whole?
I guess,
they're
but like,
down
they
fall.
think, but they think the disease lays there. So I just feel like they even said like, oh, we're sending the strike team. It's like that's all we had for the
They
strike
cut
team was like
comms, right?
5
In that
guys.
area. Or I guess in the area is where they cut comms, not everywhere, right?
Yeah, in the area. Yeah. So
Yeah, okay.
just felt a little easy, you know.
Fair enough. Somewhere like Coruscant, though, like it would have to have like open whatever the fuck could be, borders, atmosphere, where like people can just go in and out, versus other planets where there's like blockades where you need like clearance for stuff. I just feel like there's so much stuff going on Coruscant. Air traffic control, like they can't fucking manage every ship coming in and out of the planet, let alone the little hub that they're in.
But then you know what? You load up one of those Mon Calamari cruisers, load it up with a fucking next level amount of TNT. It just hyperspace right into the atmosphere of Coruscant, beeline to Palpatine's fucking temple, and he's done. The war's over. What are they gonna do?
I kind of forget
Shit.
that Palpatine's just chilling on Coruscant in his temple, just doing his chin-up exercises.
He's
whatever
not
he
always
does.
there though. He does travel sometimes. Right?
He's going
Like,
to Exegol, back and forth.
Or
absolutely.
is he at the
he's always
Death Star,
Exegol.
just staring at it?
He never
I hope
went to
he's
the
not
first Death Star, I don't think.
Yeah. I hope
No?
not, because he just blown up. Well,
No.
I guess the second Death Star. That's where he does die. Well, I guess he doesn't.
Where does
die.
he meet Vader in Episode 4?
He doesn't.
He wasn't in Episode 4, and in Episode 5, he only he's
Oh,
on Coruscant,
wow.
but yeah, it's comms basically while
Yeah.
Vader's
It's like
on
a
his
Mandela
Super
effect there for
Destroyer.
me. I totally
Yeah.
misremembered that.
And then remember, well, now it's changed, but in the original Episode 5, it wasn't. I think it was Terrence Stamp that was playing. It wasn't.
Yeah, they changed him.
Yeah, they changed it to Ian McDermott. But yeah, Ian McDermott then on 6, which is like, I wonder why Palpatine actually did go to the second Death Star after the first one got blown up. I feel like he'd be
First
like,
one blew up. Come on, he's got to figure out what's going on.
I guess when you go, I'm staying the
Quality
hell away.
control.
Bring Luke to Exegol. Like, don't bring. I'm not gonna come to the Death Star. You bring him to us. You know?
Do you remember Palpatine's like OG voice in Empire before they changed it
Yeah,
to
it's
Ian's?
not
Because
good.
it was like it was not like anything like Ian's like.
No,
"Ha,
it's dark.
Palpatine."
It's deeper in my opinion. And it just feels.
but not
that.
sickly, not sickly
no,
though.
it's not as threatening. I think Palpatine, like Ian's Palpatine,
like a stern
is,
1950s man kind of a voice.
Yes, it's more of like a commander captain to me of like this is the
Yeah.
leader, where Palpatine, like Ian's, is very creepy and slinky and like, oh, I don't want to mess with this guy. Like definitely Ian McDermott, obviously great praise, but like it's I think that's the best Palpatine is Return of the Jedi, because I think in the prequels he goes a little overboard, especially in Revenge of the Sith. He
Fuck, I love it.
he's chewing scenery with those like those faces he's making.
Oh,
like
it's so good.
yeah, no. Return of the Jedi Palpatine is to me prime Palpatine. He nailed all that. But
I really like, again, Rise of Skywalker. It's a whole can of worms, and this it could have been a different story. But everything Palpatine in there, I really love. Just
yeah, he's good
just,
there. I just haven't
fucking
seen it
crazy.
enough to like recall, and I think I've only seen it twice now. But we are gonna. I can't remember when, but next year with Mandalorian and Grogu, we're gonna go back and we're gonna do a commentary track for Rise of Skywalker, because we haven't done that. So, and we'll probably do one for Rogue One, and maybe Solo at some point. We'll find something, but.
I wouldn't put it past them to pull Cassian and Bix's son into some future thing. Maybe in that 6 to 7 arc, because then you're dealing with a 20-year jump between then and
Again,
then.
me if they were in a week or two from now, next whatever Star Celebration announced that the Gilroys are doing a series after whatever, and they literally could just call Andor again. Well, I guess Andor's is Cassian. No, Andor's his last name, right?
Yeah.
So they could call
It'd
it
be
that.
Andor.
So and they just like yeah,
Diego Luna reprising
yeah.
the role.
Again,
he looks
I'm fine.
the exact same age.
Yeah, I don't care. De-age him a little bit, but yeah, don't even just do like Wet on American Summer. But I'd be completely down if he hears the legends about his father. Bix was kind of she was a spy helping at one point. Like I would be completely down. I know it's classic Star Wars, like everybody's someone's son or daughter, but like I wouldn't care if it's like, the show's set between 6 and 7. It's all about spies and getting rid of the Empire, etc. But no, so yeah. Anything else to say before we end this off here with a rating?
What do you got, Kirkland?
Sound like
Nothing.
yeah, minor quibbles as we talked about, Mario, Biggs, but like this stuff is so good, I can't go anywhere else. It's a 10, and 10 sometimes feels a little modest, because that stuff that is just so damn good is some of the best ever, Star Wars sci-fi stuff. Yeah, and I'm very excited to go watch this all together now. I am going to be watching Rogue One this week, haven't in a while, but I'm going to finish off the story here. But yeah, 10 out of 10. The show will be greatly missed, and I hope we can get something in the future similar. But if not, we got this, and this is the peak. And I don't know. Like I said, right now I'm gonna say 1A Empire, 1B Andor. I need to sit on it for a while because Empire's been in my life my entire life. But it's that level where it's like, man, I've at least given something a 1B because like I really like Force Awakens, I really like New Hope. There's other stuff, but there's never been anything that's challenged that number one spot. But this is the first time, and that's saying something. So yeah, 10 for me.
I'm right there with you. Yeah, this is peak, and I truly hope we get a Star Wars content piece, whether it's TV show or movie, to just this caliber. It's refreshing to just be able to be like, yeah, Star Wars can do it. We we can get that mature content that is like, it's not just mature, it's just excellent story writing. And yes, this is the best Star Wars show I've ever seen, but it's also just one of the best shows I've ever seen. And I'm just so impressed. Really, really minor like cons that would not bring it down by any means. I'm excited to just rewatch this as a whole now, and lead into Rogue One. I'll watch Rogue One before I rewatch the whole show, just because it's been a while. But and I'm also just curious to see Cassian in Rogue One versus like seeing him here, just because it's been a lot of time, like in the real world, just how those two characters kind of feel differently. This has been good.
Yeah, this is it's a treat. It really, really is, because you're not getting any kind of Star Wars like this in other Star Wars. I feel like every other piece of content we've gotten has some implementation of Jedi or the Force or anything like that. And in here, like, you get little subtleties when you're introduced to certain familiar things like planets and maybe names and whatnot that are connected to that larger world that you can clue in with and such. But I think that it just does such a great job at being its own thing, and just the writing is so good, and they spend time doing things, albeit yes, there are a couple of things that were rushed a little bit, but it's not the end of the world. It's not negatively impacting the show, at least for me, in any means. But I think that it just really puts things down on a very real scale of just what this galaxy is going through here. And this is something you don't get to see later on. Like, the political side of Star Wars really exists in the prequel era and then in the dark times, and outside of that you don't really get much. They haven't tackled enough of the High Republic era, which is a shame that they don't write some better shit in that era politically, like with the old Republic and whatnot. You don't get any political stuff post episode 6, aside from a little bit in Ahsoka, but not enough. I'd like to see a little bit more of that, and a little bit in Mando. When you go to Coruscant, they're doing that stuff with like former Imperials. That's the kind of stuff like you were talking about, Travis. I'd like to see a little bit more of that and get some more coverage. Yeah, sure, show us like the fallout of some of these characters that were introduced in Andor, if they've grown up, or like other people like Deidre, and see the fallout of that for them in the future. That'd be kind of cool. But this show does a great job at showing us the espionage and the dilemmas of just living in this galaxy where it's not an illegal takeover. Like, everything Palpatine did was legal. It was just very, very shady how he went about it, and the means to put himself in more powerful positions by controlling both sides and getting to this point now where the Empire is in control. And yeah, I think that's why there's so much stuff that you can keep revisiting here, and you can keep speaking to and exploring new narratives. While it is always yet the dark times, they keep tackling the video games, tackle the dark times, and the shows and the movies and whatnot. Like you said, Kirkland, I think this definitely puts a whole new fresh coat of paint on it for this era, and I think that they did a really, really good job on telling a story that has been told many times before, but just a different character, a different perspective. It was done very, very well, and for me, it boosts Rogue One up. I finished watching this arc, and I thought, man, I just got to put Rogue One on. I'm so excited to watch one of my favorite Star Wars movies and just see that it's from like a 10 out of 10 to even higher than a 10 out of 10, because we've got so much backstory and weight behind what's going on now, which is awesome. And I guess in closing, for me, this season 2 is a 10 out of 10, but the fact that when the credits hit, and we at the second portion of the credits were rolling, and we got that original Star Wars theme that kicked in. Like the credits were rolling, and I was putting my drink away in the kitchen. I was like, holy shit! I don't think I've heard that theme on any new Star Wars projects that Disney has done. It's been a very, very long time, and it brought me right back. I was really, really excited hearing that. I thought, man, let's get some good, more goddamn Star Wars like this. And I mean, we joke about it, we meme about it a lot, but I do think the fact that you guys have mentioned, like, okay, Filoni, he does not like this is not Star Wars to him, that does suck. And I would love to get more Star Wars that is like this. And I think that there is a world that exists where we can have this kind of Star Wars storytelling that is dark and gritty, and combine it with the Star Wars that, you know, Filoni wants to put out there too, I'm sure, like with, you know, Jedis and Siths and whatnot. Also, shout outs to the Artifact and Luthen's gallery. There was that tablet that was shouting out the father, the son, the daughter, the Mortis gods. I don't know if you caught that, Travis.
No. I try to remove the Mortis stuff from my brain.
I also missed that.
You also missed that. Is the stone, for those of you who are aware, the stone was in there, and it shows like the different hand gestures that they did in Star Wars Rebels to open up the access point into the world between worlds. Yeah. There you go.
Don't remember, Travis? Don't remember?
I remember. Just forgot about it.
Go watch Ahsoka, Kirkland. My goodness.
Okay, I'll get on.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is it. We're closing the chapter, the book, The Island on Cassian Andor. You can go back, listen to all our reviews. Next Star Wars thing, I'm not sure when it will be, because obviously we got Ironheart coming up for Disney Plus shows. I don't know what. I know they're filming Ahsoka, but I don't even know if that's going to be out before Mandalorian and Grogu. So there's a chance, other than if it's something animated related, live action wise, we will be talking about Mandalorian and Grogu in about a year from now. And
Star Wars
crossed.
Visions, maybe that's
said
the
live
next
action.
one.
I said
Oh, live action only?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Fucking
fingers
fine,
crossed, we can have some good times, but I don't know if we'll have as good as time as this. Promise you, it won't be boring when you hear from us next on Star Wars, and may the Force be with you.